tonight.
Hello, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Hey, everybody out there in podcast land, out there in the old AML nation. It's Monday, April, don't tell me, let me guess, April 24th. Monday, April 24th. And, hey, game 4 of the NHL playoffs. Leafs are up 2-1. I'm a happy camper. We'll see what happens tonight, though. Do you know, in the last 20 years, it's been over 20 years since the Leafs won a playoff series. And they've had 312 players, 35 goaltenders, 7 coaches, and 6 general managers in 20 years. 7 coaches in 35 goaltenders. Ah, my God. Anyways, Leafs are my team, regardless. Just like all those poor Cubs fans for years and years, and the Red Sox fans for years and years. Your team is your team, and you can't waver. Anyways, this is the Springfield Report Part 4, the final Springfield Report, brought to you by Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
Those jingles are beginning to grow on me. Yeah, they're beginning to grow on me. And apparently there's a third one out there somewhere that we got to find that Jason Schron and his team have made. It's a lot of fun having Rapido as our sponsors. And this particular Springfield report was, most of these interviews were done on late Sunday afternoon after I thought the crowd was dying down. There wasn't a whole lot of people left. And as a matter of fact, at one point, John Sacerdote made the show director made an announcement to all of the vendors that you can't close up your booth until 5 o'clock, because the show was pretty empty by 3:40. This is 3:30, 3:45. So I thought to myself, well, seeing as how Rapido Trains is the official sponsor of the AML network,
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
If it's N, if it's H-O, the fast track is Rapido.
That's the second jingle. We have these 2 jingles, and it's like the second one I like, but I really don't know where it fits in, but I'm just throwing it in there anyways. So anyways, around 3:45 on the Sunday afternoon of the big Springfield show, the Big E, the Amherst Railway Society Railroad Model Show, I decided to saunter over there to the Rapido booth and get a few interviews. And I was lucky. The place was packed. The Rapido booth was packed. I've said that before, but it was packed. It was like I couldn't get over how many people were at the Rapido booth. And they keep saying, well, we had a lot of models. That's got nothing to do with it. It was just packed. And of course, that's the first time I saw in person the 44-tonner that I can constantly rave about. But anyways, while I was there, I got to interview Bill Schneider and Bobby Allard and Jeremy Fleming. He's the guy that makes all the videos. And Kaylee Zheng. She does repairs for them, as well as she's in charge of the Antics channel here at the old AML Nation. And Matt Gentry, who's a design engineer. And then I got to interview Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave was there, so I talked to him for 4 or 5. He was over there mingling with all the Rapido people, trying to get Jason Schron to build the U30-7A or something. He's always trying to get Rapido to build. And then I interviewed Jason Schron. And while I was interviewing him, Shane Wilson from Scale Trains walked up. And finally, the last interview for this particular podcast, and the last interview of all the Springfield interviews, John Sacerdote, the show director of the big Springfield show. And he was pretty poofed. And we interviewed him about 20 minutes before the show was over. It was quite a year this year. Man, they had tons and tons of people there. It was very exciting. And we had our big booth, which was a lot of fun with Iowa Scaled Engineering. But they're actually located in Colorado. And Michelle Kempema was there at our booth for a while. And tons of people stopped by. And Uncle Dave had a table for his railroad. And there was always somebody talking to him. So we had lots and lots of fun at the Springfield show. And I'm already looking forward to next year. So that's what this is. This is the Springfield Report number 4. Primarily employees of Rapido Trains, all the folks that work at Rapido Trains, and it's a lot of fun. Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
I love those jingles. They're definitely growing on me. Subway chimes, go. Okay, so now I'm talking with Bobby Allard from Rapido Trains, and we've never met.
No, we have not, but it's nice to meet you finally.
Yes, and we didn't discuss anything out in the parking lot. There's all the tricks are as you see them.
Well, it'd be kind of different if we did, but
yeah. So I was saying to Bill Schneider when I walked, as it's later on a Sunday afternoon here at the old Springfield Model Railroad, Big E, Model Railroad Hobby Show, blah, blah, blah. And first thing I noticed, the show's quiet because it's later on Sunday afternoon. And when I walked up to the Rapido booth, it was packed.
well, that's a good thing for us. And I think what helps is that this year, on vocal-wise, we're not going to be able to see it. But we have almost every sample currently in production or future production or on the way out. And we're talking at least 3 or 4 folding tables worth of stuff, and then a back wall of all of our posters. And I think also what's helping give a lot of life is we have almost a whole R&D team, we have the PR team, and as of right now, Sunday afternoon, we have Jason and Janet both in the booth with us, so that's drawing in a lot of people.
Yeah, you got everybody here. I don't see Jason right now, though, is he?
Well, you know,
Yeah,
the minute he gets in, he's got to wander.
Well, yeah, exactly. I don't know if you know this, but Rapido Trains is the exclusive sponsor of A Modeler's Life.
Oh, that I did know.
You didn't know that?
Yes, I did. And we're proud and happy to be that.
Okay, because if you didn't know, Rapido Trains is your fast track to model railroading fun.
Ah, see? That part I didn't know. But I did know that we were a sponsor, and I'm very happy to be a part of that.
We already came up with a slogan.
As the PR, one of the PR guys, I should be shamed into not knowing that information. So
Okay.
it's good to know. Thank you, Lino. It's good to know that.
Well, we kind of made it up on the podcast as we were going along. And I know you listened to all of them and some of them twice.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
I like to. You know what? Let me throw. I like listening to Dave Abelise a lot too.
Well, who doesn't?
I know exactly. He's got his face on the table over there. You know.
Where's his face on the table?
I don't know. It was on one of the tables over there. Maybe it wasn't for this podcast. Maybe. You know what? Just keep going, Lino.
All right. So what do you do at Rapido Trains?
What I do is I work with Jordan and Jeremy in the PR department, and obviously Jason is basically the head of it. But what I do is I do all the newsletters. I do the ads, so a lot of the print ads. Some of the social media artwork I'll do. A lot of the sales packs that you get in the catalogs I'll work on.
Right.
I'll work side by side with people on. The box stuffer that you see sometimes arrive in your package from wherever you might have ordered from is thrown in there. And generally any of the posters I'll work on, or sometimes cleaning up the art. And if anybody takes photographs, I'll clean some of them up. Basically anything visual or advertisement-wise I'll work on.
And so you said you work with Jordan?
I work with Jordan, Jeremy, and Jason's pretty much the head of our end.
Right. And Jeremy, of course, Jeremy Fleming.
Yes, Jeremy Fleming.
He lives not far from me.
No, and
I was talking to him about a jingle, and he was getting kind of sweaty.
That's
So we made up our own jingle.
That's right. I heard about that.
It's a little rough, but one of our avid fans happens to be in the Dallas Symphony Orchestra.
Oh,
and he's going to help us punch up our jingle.
I'm willing to hear it.
Yeah, so it's.
I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, so we're desperate. We're feverishly feverishly working on all of our Rapido trains.
Well, if it's in the orchestra, it better be the similar to the 1812 or overture or whatever that is.
Well, he's the lead French horn player, so there'll be a lot of French horn.
If it's just French horn only, I think I would enjoy that too.
Yeah, well, we don't know. David Hyde is his name. Lovely man, has a great layout, and he's a Mopac guy. And
Mopac's good, yeah.
Yeah, Mopac. And so, anyways, that's what's happening there. So, how long have you worked for Rapido?
I worked here since 2020, and believe it or not, this is my first show back at Springfield since 2020. And the irony of this whole show and this event is, in 2020, I was working for another manufacturer, and I actually came up here, not with them that weekend, but I came up here and I got interviewed by Jason at the tables we're standing about 50 feet away from.
Right.
During the show on a Sunday afternoon, right about now. And a couple weeks later, I got notified by him, and he said, "You're hired."
Okay.
And there we go. It's been like that ever since.
And while he was doing that interview, was there any mention of the podcast?
He said he better start paying those donations to the podcast, otherwise Lionel might come after him.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have several questions for you, but this one, I actually just asked Bill Schneider. I even asked Jason. I've asked Dan Garcia, Josh, Kaylee, pretty much everybody I've interviewed at one time or another. I asked them the same question. Now, I understand you guys are having big corporate meetings over the next 2 days.
Oh, yeah, yes, we are.
And at some point when there's a lull in the meeting and you kind of come to a block where nobody's really got an idea,
Yeah.
I'm thinking you kind of rub your chin and go, I wonder what Lionel would do here.
If we hit that point, we might be in trouble because there's going to be about 15 people in the meetings, and if we hit a point where we're not talking anymore, either we're all asleep or we've been all given we've lost air pressure in the room there.
Right. But seriously, would it kill you?
Oh, I'm going to do it. I'll do it just for you, Lionel.
All right.
You know what? I'll actually cut Jason off as he's starting to talk on Monday morning at 10 a.m. and say, you know what? I don't want to know what you have to say, Jason. I want to hear what Lionel has to say.
There you go. Yeah, be careful. You don't want to end up outside the room either.
That's true. It's cold out.
Yeah, exactly. So how long have you been in this industry then?
I started in 2015. I started at Atlas, just to mention that company. Started in Atlas in R&D, worked my way into marketing. Then in 2020, as I said, I came over to Rapido, started in R&D, and then eventually worked my way into a role in PR, and I love it. Ever since then, it's just been a ride of a lifetime.
It is. You got hats off to Jason.
Yes.
And hats off to the whole Rapido team. I mean, it's a I can't get over how busy it is here. I am shocked. We are now closing in on 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. And the booth is busier than any other booth.
Oh, it's great. It's great. And like I said, I think that also goes towards how much we have out, how much we've announced, and just everything in general.
Yeah. And how many of these 44-tonners are you going to sell? Like about 3 billion?
Oh, they're... you know what? I'll fully admit, I was kind of curious at first, but I have to admit the response has been excellent, and there's so much you can do with it. There's so many open ends to the 44-tonner.
I have had at least 3 or 4 people say to me, I'm buying 2 or 3 of them. What do you think the price point will be on these?
You know, I think it's a fair question to ask, and I think that right now the price point with competitors, it's fairly even at the moment. So it might appear as if it's a higher price point, but when you look at the other people who do work on 44-tonners, it's right in the wheelhouse, and I'll tell you this, it'll be just a bit more detailed, so I think you're going to be very happy with what you get.
Right, okay. What's this young fellow's name here?
Well, that's Matt.
Oh, okay. Hey, Matt, can we interview you next? Not now.
Sure you want to?
We're still there. But in just about a couple of minutes. I don't want to cut into Bobby's time.
Oh, yeah. I'm the punching bag.
Yeah. So what's Matt like?
Oh, Matt's great.
Careful.
Matt's great. In fact, as a little bit of a side note, about 6 years ago, we were Matt, Craig Walker, who's now another coworker, and myself and another coworker from Atlas. We're sitting in the restaurant in Indianapolis at the NMRA convention. And I jokingly said, you know, it'd be amazing if we all worked together. And we all laughed it off. Here we are about 5-6 years later, and 3 of the 4 all work together. So
all work together.
It's miserable. No, it's great. It's fun because it's fun knowing people that you work with, and it's fun getting along with people that you work with. Because if you don't have that, it just makes things a drag at times.
Okay, last question. Are you a model railroader?
Of course I am.
Well, not everybody. Not necessarily everybody in the industry is.
Well, that's a good point.
And being a PR guy, I guess you probably pretty much have to, I guess. So what do you model?
So I bounced a little bit, but I modeled the Northwest Indiana steel scene. So I got to throw it in there. I'm sure all my friends, if they hear this, are going to cringe when I say it. But I modeled the Burns Harbor, Indiana area. All steel, all coil, scrap, and all that type of stuff. IHB, NS, and South Shore.
And where's this?
Up there in Northwest Indiana, Burns Harbor, Indiana.
Okay, and is that where you're from originally?
Actually, funny story, I'm from New Jersey. So I picked an area that I just liked in general. I looked at from photos as a kid growing up.
What era?
Roughly in the 2010s era, right before PTC, right before things took a turn.
Okay, all right. Well, how do you think your first interview went?
Hopefully well. Hopefully happy back. Or
Yeah, we killed 10 minutes.
Wow.
And we weren't even trying hard.
Wow. And this was all scripted. I mean, unscripted.
Yeah, we all did a table reading before we got on.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
All right, say goodbye, Bobby.
All right. Thanks for having me, Lionel. It's a pleasure to be on with you.
Say goodbye, Bobby.
Bye-bye.
No, goodbye, Bobby.
Oh, goodbye, Bobby.
There you go. So now I'm here with Matt.
Hello.
Matt Gentry.
Gentry. That's
I've
the
heard
one.
that name a bunch.
You have?
I have.
Is that good or bad? And was it specifically me?
It was specifically you.
Okay.
And it was about 3 or 4 years ago in the industry, I started hearing your name quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
And
I've been here for 8.5 now, I think.
So I guess that would be about right.
Yeah.
You know, after 4 years, your name starts getting out there.
Yeah.
And were you originally with Athearn?
Yes, I was.
And is that where you started in the industry?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So now we're at the Rapido booth. Oh,
Yes.
The one thing I want to tell you before we go on, it's late in a Sunday afternoon at the Springfield, the great Springfield Trainapalooza hobby show or whatever it's called.
Whatever they call this.
And as I was walking through the buildings coming here, because I thought, you know what, I'm going to wait till Sunday afternoon to interview the Rapido folks.
Right.
And because it won't be busy.
In theory, it won't be busy.
And was packed with people. It was like twice as busy as this when I got here.
There's people everywhere. This show this weekend, this year, has been crazy.
But Rapido in particular,
Yeah.
is busy.
Yeah.
What? Any idea why that would be? I mean,
I think we have had so many new product announcements and product launches over the last 2 years. We were not in attendance. Nobody was in attendance in 2021.
Right.
And then we did not attend in 2022. So I think this is the Northeast area. Everybody was pent up wanting to see Rapido and the product, and all the project managers who showed up and just meet the team.
So in 2022, was it because of the snowstorm, or was it predetermined that you weren't going to come?
It was a little bit of everything. We were originally planning to be here, and then with whatever was going on in the world,
right,
was sort of flaring back up, and then the projected snowstorm, and so we just sort of decided to stay home last year.
All right. So what exactly do you do at Rapido?
I am a project manager.
It seems like there's like 72 project managers at Rapido.
I think there's about 6 or 7 of us, yeah.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
And what does that entail exactly?
So we do the research and development for all the new products. So, looking for drawings, talking to historical societies, speccing out, all the stuff needed for production of a product, road names, that type of thing. And then we work on the designs and the development with the designers overseas. We work with the factories during production. I mean, we see a project through from the idea until it's on the market.
Is it kind of like I've often heard cast members from Saturday Night Live say that you would you'd all be sitting around a big table and pitching ideas, and some skits would get on the show and many skits wouldn't. Is it kind of the same idea where you're all pitching ideas?
Right, yeah, and usually because over 90% of us at Rapido are all model railroaders, if it's a project that we pitch, it's usually one that we end up getting to develop.
Okay.
So the Auto Flood 3 was a project of mine. It was an idea of mine. I pitched it, so it was my project from the start to finish.
Right. And how many products of your own in a year would get off the ground, roughly?
As many as we can do. Jason is pleasant enough to entertain the idea, and if the whole team supports it, thinks it's a good idea, it'll go.
right.
And then it really comes down to if we have the time and capacity to work on them all during the year, you know.
Right, because you guys seem to be turning out product like crazy at this point.
Yeah, right. Well, when there's 6 or 7 of us, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So what is the latest project that you can talk about that you pitched?
That I pitched. Unfortunately, I've had a slow 8 to 9 months because, you know, since I've been with Rapido now for just over 2 years, you know, that sort of product cycle hits. So everything I was working on when I started 2 years ago has been delivered. So the last 8 to 9 months I've been holding hands with the factory, making sure stuff is delivering and that type of stuff. But really, I think the last one of mine that has been launched was the NSC center beam flat car.
Okay, all right. I think you're going to sell 1 million of these 44-tonners.
Yeah, they've been really popular this weekend, so I'm happy to see that.
I sent a text to Jason at some point on Friday night. I said, I've been here 2 hours and 3 people have asked me about the 44-tonner.
Wow. That's good. I'm glad people are excited about them.
And, it's kind of like everybody says, well, I need 2, but I'm going to get 4.
Wow.
What do you think, how will they compare price point-wise to, say, a full-size locomotive?
They might be a little bit cheaper than, say, our GP38 model.
Right.
But because they're full-featured, full LED lighting, full sound, I think they're probably going to be about the same price point, though.
Okay. All right. So it's about the same price point, basically, because of the quality of the vehicle.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And we've done different phases, different variations, so all that, adds up.
So can you give me a capsulized version? Can we walk through the whole process of, like, you must have in the back of your head a half a dozen projects you'd like to do?
Absolutely.
And how do you find a project? Like, is it just like you're driving down the road and you see something and go, oh, that would be cool?
Sometimes, being, I do modeling myself, and I sort of have an idea of what I would like to see, because I know what kind of trains I'm looking to operate or model or something like that. And if we see a hole in the market, oh, hey, there you go, like the center beam.
Yeah.
I think there was only one other manufacturer that had the 73-foot center beam, and I believe theirs is either a Gunderson or a Trenton Works car.
Right.
Well, I did the NSC car, which by and large has a very vast fleet for different road names and everybody like that.
Right.
And so there was a need, in my opinion, for different manufacturers, some variation in the modeling community.
Is that a big consideration, how many road names that particular car would have?
Absolutely. Because the more road names, the larger quantities, the more production we can get out of the project.
That would drive me nuts trying to figure out how many. Like, I'm thinking with the 44-tonner, trying to guess how many to order.
Oh, right.
I talked to that about to Jason. Every time I interview him, I'm like, how in the heck do you ever figure that out? I know you guys rely on pre-orders, but to me that would be like, well, that's a help, but...
Right. And, I mean, the way my process works, my process personally, is I just start with a spreadsheet and start listing out who had them, how many they had, that type of things. So, like, I have a spreadsheet for every GP38 that was bought new by every railroad.
All right.
So,
okay. What do you model? What's your specific model?
My primary focus is, where I'm from in southwest Indiana, is the Yankeetown Dock Corporation, which was a coal hauling road from the coal mines down to the Ohio River.
Right.
And they only, or at least the era that I model, they had 3 SD38-2s and 3 Fairbank Morse H1044s.
Right.
And then they had the fleet of coal hoppers. So short, simple, sweet, easy to do, and I'm done.
Have you got a layout under progress, or?
I've got some modules in progress. I've become really good friends with the Gulf Western Modular Railway Society out of Corpus Christi, Texas.
Okay.
And so my modules are built to their standards, and they'll go with them. Our plan this year, I think we're doing the national show in Houston, Dallas. And then they also are going to the Spring Creek show in Deschler, Nebraska this summer.
So how did you end up getting hooked up with those guys?
I met them going to the shows. I was always doing the shows for Athern, and some of the guys just were friendly and kept talking to me and ended up bugging me a little bit. And okay, you guys are all right.
Because you're match entry.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you said, 3-4 years ago.
Exactly.
Because it was at the World's Greatest Hobby Show in Houston where I really started running around with them, and good or bad, it hasn't stopped.
Well, that's cool. Fine. Okay, we're going to talk to you a lot more.
Okay.
So where do you don't live, like everybody, it's pretty scattered, isn't it? I mean, just by happenstance, I live an hour away from the head office.
Okay. All right.
But you guys are all over the place.
Right. So whenever during COVID, of course, everybody was working from home, and at that time I was still with Athern and paying rent and everything like that. And so I asked the question, I said, hey, if I can move back home, save a little bit of money, I'm going to do that. And Horizon was nice enough to allow that. And then some things changed, and I ended up at Rapido, and I'm still at home in Southwest Indiana.
Oh, okay. So right now you're building modules because you're living at home with your parents.
Right.
And you haven't moved out and got your own spot yet, so that's where you're at.
Right.
Sounds perfect. I had another question. Don't tell me what it was. Oh, yeah. You're a young guy. You're perfect. You're, how old are you?
I have to think every time. I'm 35. Just turned 35.
Questions will get easier as we go along.
Oh, thanks.
What is your name, Matt?
Maybe.
Yeah. You're a perfect age for me personally. I think the hobby's growing like crazy, and I think it's growing like crazy because of social media. Everybody can connect.
Right.
And young guys before, even in their 20s, who couldn't find other guys.
Right.
The only way they could find other fellow model railroaders was maybe to go to the local club, which was, 80% older guys, only because that's what you do when you're older is go to a club.
Right.
Where do you see the hobby right now? Like, obviously, the argument of the hobby is dying. I don't even like saying that.
No.
Because that's not even a...
That is not true. My opinion is not true.
It's not even a thing.
No, not at all. The hobby is changing and evolving. Because like you were saying, the younger crowd, the younger guys, they're using social media and the internet and Skype and Zoom and getting together with their friends that way. Some guys, I know they have even started doing operating sessions, and they have a friend that's clear across the country.
Yeah, I know.
They're remoting in, and they're running the CTC panel from the other side of the country for the guys running the layout.
Yeah.
It's wild. So, and again, the younger guys, they have the technology in front of them. They're not going to the hobby shops and buying, but they're still buying the product, which ultimately works for us as a manufacturer. So we're going to keep making the stuff because it keeps going.
Let's touch on that. You guys are very much, Rapido is very much about the retailer.
Right.
Very much supporting the retailer. Very much happy to have the retailer stay in business, sell the product. You do sell online.
Yes, we do.
But you're a supporter of retailer. Do you have any background of why that is the case?
Ultimately, the dealers and the distributors are our lifeblood, and therefore the customer, of course, because they're buying through the dealers.
Right.
But they're the ones that are also on the front lines that are relaying information to us as to what's selling, what's not selling, what works, what doesn't work. So we need that connection to the community. Right.
So I know you've listened to all the podcasts and some of them twice.
Some of them.
So you know now that Rapido Trains is the exclusive sponsor of Modeler's Life?
I remember Jason mentioning it, yes.
Yeah. Rapido Trains. It's your fast track to model railroading fun.
Okay.
Somehow we came up with that. We also have a jingle.
Right.
But it's a little rough right now.
Okay.
But one of our avid listeners is the lead French horn player at the Dallas Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he's going to help us punch that up a little bit.
Okay, good.
And then I think Jeremy's supposed to be working on a jingle, too.
All right.
But he seems to be sweating over that.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why
Maybe
either.
because it's music and not a video.
Yeah, maybe, too. Is he here this weekend?
Yes, Jeremy actually did make it.
Oh, okay. So he's here somewhere.
I don't see him now, but he's around.
I don't see him now either. I've been looking. I've been eyeing to see who's in the booth.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, he was here an hour ago, so he's on the property.
Yeah, he's on the property.
Oh, wait, there he is. He's back over there talking to Ashley Lauren from Otter Valley.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There's an interview.
Yep.
And Bobby's pointing at the young lady there.
No, yeah.
What do you want, Bobby? He
right.
wants me to interview Janet. Janet doesn't like being interviewed.
I'm actually surprised Janet made it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. All right. Well, I guess that's it. We've covered. We killed. Let's see. What did we do? We killed 13 minutes.
Was that enough, or do we need to kill more?
No, that's good because
Okay.
I've talked to lots and lots of people. Maybe I'll talk to Kaylee for a minute.
Okay.
And I might talk to Josh.
Okay.
And I've already talked to John Franz. But he pronounces his last name wrong.
I don't know. Just don't call him late for dinner.
Because he says it's Franz. And I think it's France.
He's from the bougie area of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he's insisting it's still European. Well, excuse me.
Uh-huh.
All right. Say goodbye, Matt.
Goodbye, Matt.
Okay, we got like 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Do you know how to work a microphone, Dave? Have you ever met a microphone you didn't like?
Yes.
Really? So
There's some really bad ones.
yeah. So we're at the Rapido booth. You've been hanging around here a lot. What's going on? The entire time I've been here, you were already here, and you haven't left yet.
Well, you're here, and so the action's here.
You were already here.
Right.
What is? You're kind of like a fanboy.
A little bit of a fanboy.
Yeah.
I do love Rapido products. I love the culture of the company, at least from an outsider's perspective.
Right.
It's been a lot of fun making videos, and Jeremy here is. We went back and forth on the video we did about the Turboliner with my kids in it, and it was
Right.
it was so much fun to do that with him.
Right.
So it was great. So it's been a lot of fun, and I mean, they're pushing the envelope in so many ways. They're doing the Conrail Executive E8s, which will make an appearance on the Onondaga Cutoff. The New Jersey guys I traveled up with, their booth is actually, ironically, right next door to Rapido.
Okay.
So I was visiting with them a little bit as well.
All right.
And as you expected, this show blew my mind.
Yeah, I knew that.
You called it. I mean, it's the last time I was up here I figured it out, it was 11 years ago.
Right.
When it was 2.5 buildings.
Yeah, and you probably haven't hardly seen anything
No.
because every time you moved, you had this scrum of guys around you.
It was wild. My voice is hoarse.
Yeah.
My extrovert bubble is fully charged. It's been a great show. And I can't thank you enough for the encouragement.
Okay.
And for helping me get a table and make that whole thing come together.
Well, sure. I didn't have to do much. All I had to do was just hang around. But I knew all I had to do was get you here.
Well, thank you.
I did do a good job on the table.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I'll take credit for that.
I think you should, get a new day job in graphic design.
I didn't. I designed it, but I didn't actually make it.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Yeah. But
It turned out
what's
beautiful.
the highlight of the weekend for you? Just how much interaction you've had?
I think the highlight of the weekend was a fella named Dave Edwards, who's been confined to a wheelchair for years now. He used to take a lot of pictures on the Chicago line.
Okay.
And he's come to the show before. He doesn't live all that far from here. But he came and specifically came to the OC booth to meet me and thank me for doing the OC and to buy some swag.
Was that the
And-
guy I tracked you down? I said, there's a guy over there wants to see you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Dave Edwards, and he and his wife, they're very good people.
Right.
He's had some health struggles, but he's the kind of guy that just brings a smile.
Right.
Even despite it all.
Right.
So meeting him was a highlight. Seeing the whole AML Nation come together
Yeah.
for the group photo was awesome.
Yeah.
Meeting Scott Lister was awesome. Michelle Campano was awesome. I mean, just, hard part.
Yeah.
I got a hug from the hard part. It's just like everything. It's just a great community of people, and feeling that vibrational energy.
Yeah, feeling
is
seen in
special.
person. Yeah, it's impossible not to realize it until you do it.
And it doesn't. There's no way to believe that the hobby's not getting better.
Oh,
Which is something we talk about often.
All of the time.
But here it is in real time.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
yeah. I mean, how can you? I don't know how anybody can't think that this hobby isn't growing like crazy.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are. There's Shane,
Oh yeah.
Jason.
Oh yeah, right.
I mean,
Shane and
you've
Jason.
just got people after. It is the intersection of the hobby.
All right. Okay. Look at that. Yeah, Shane Wilson from Scale Trains is now here wanting to talk to Jason Tron. I was going to interview him, but I think I'm going to have to beg off because there's things to do, people to see.
Amen.
It's
that kind of show.
And I felt like I had to get 5 minutes with you to get the. When can we do Can we do it this week?
Yes,
All right. We got to.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any night but Wednesday.
Maybe Thursday.
All right. Thursday.
Awesome.
Wednesday's the Leafs.
Roger that.
All right. Thursday it is.
Looking forward to it already.
All right. Are we having fun or what?
Yeah, I'm floating. Thanks for everything, my friend.
All right. See you later. Okay, so now I'm here with our longtime buddy, Kaylee Zheng.
What up, what up, what up?
Yeah, that's right, who christened the Patreon channel as the Antics Channel.
The Antics Channel. It's the
And
best channel in the world.
It is the best channel in the world. It's still the Antics Channel. It's unsponsored, although Kelly continues to bring up...
Well, but it's Kelly.
Yeah.
Need I say more? It's
I know.
Kelly.
And I'm like, Because I'm thinking to myself, I love having Rapido Trains as our sole exclusive sponsor.
I know. They did a really nice job with the tablecloth.
Yeah, it turned out well. And it wasn't too long until Bruce came up with Rapido Trains. It's your fast track to model railroading fun.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I know.
That's a brilliant one.
That's the one we're beating to death.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then Tom, the Queso Cowboy, he came up with a jingle. And it's a little rough. But he was just talking one day, and he started singing about Rapido Trains. So I cut that out of the show. And like I say, it's a little rough. But today I was talking to David Hyde, our official French horn player from the Dallas Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, I haven't seen him this show. I met him a couple years ago, and we had a great conversation.
And he's going to try to punch it up.
Fantastic.
So now we're going to have the Dallas Symphony Orchestra working on it. And I know
nice.
Jeremy, he's supposed to be working on one too. So eventually we're going to have all kinds of stuff. So what's news with Kaylee? Because we haven't had you on the show for a while.
I know. It's been busy. I've been doing lots of things. I finally have a layout now.
Do you?
Yeah. It was a long time coming. I tried to get ready for the NER Northeastern Region Convention in 2022.
Right.
Yeah, because we were supposed to be 21, but then COVID changed all of that.
Right.
So I finally got that going. Went up in a month. Was hell. Way too much hell. But it's going. Trying to stay active.
Okay. And you're still working for repairs, doing warranty work for Rapido?
Here and there, yeah. We're still doing it. We're still going strong. Most of it is now going back to Canada, only because my day job has picked up.
Oh, yeah?
So, unfortunately, can't do too much, but some of it still happens here.
Well, you know what we say at the old AML network? Rapido Trains. It's your fast track to model railroading fun.
Absolutely. You're going to get some mileage out of that, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm getting some mileage out of that. That's sticking like gum to a wall.
Or gum to the bottom of your shoe.
Yeah, gum to the bottom of my shoe. That's sticking.
And you're just going to track it all over the place.
Yeah, I know. Track it all over the place. So why has your job changed, or it's just gotten more complicated?
Job has changed, actually.
Okay.
This is probably the biggest news of them all. I'm no longer working single-handedly installing Pratt & Whitney jet engines on Airbus A320s.
You're not?
Not anymore.
What are you doing now?
I'm going to be working with hydrogen.
Uh-oh.
Things that go boom.
Uh-oh. So a different company?
Different company, yeah. Different company, different experience, different industry, and that's kind of why I took it.
And when did this happen?
This was a very recent thing. It happened at the end of 2022.
So just recently?
Very recently, yeah. And what had happened was we had a friend of mine who I was coworkers a couple jobs ago.
Right.
He reached out to me saying that, hey, we're looking for a mechanical engineer who's really well versed and very well capable, and your name was right on the top of our list.
Wow.
So at that point, it was, okay, you got me interested.
And then they offered you bucket loads of money.
Exactly. And they kind of wrote the job around what I can do.
Wow.
And so at that point, I was like, all right. Can't say no at this point, huh?
Yeah.
So here I am. Company's called Nel Hydrogen.
Nel Hydrogen.
Nel Hydrogen.
So now, Kaylee, of course, we have our favorite lady on, Kaylee Zheng, who refers to the Patreon channel as the Antics channel, and in her spare time builds dirigibles in her driveway.
Exactly. Builds them and launch them. Yeah. So if you see one flying overhead, wait, because it might just blow up. Never mind. No, it won't blow up. That would be bad.
What a huge change.
It is totally different.
And how's it been so far?
So far, it's been fun.
Okay.
It's been really enjoyable. So it's being in the office is one thing, but being in the office and also being on the shop floor, that's a lot of fun.
That makes a lot of. Is it a big company? Little company?
It's a little company here, but it is global, so it's pretty big internationally.
Okay.
But for at least here in the U.S., we have one in Connecticut, Wallingford, Connecticut, and then we have one in California. I think San Francisco-ish area.
Okay. Well, the sun never sets on the AML Nation.
Absolutely, we're all over the place.
So it's just like your hydrogen company, we're right there.
We're number one by nature.
All right, let's talk a little bit Rapido because I got here on Thursday and went out to dinner, and literally within 2 or 3 hours, I sent a text to Jason saying, I've had 3 people ask me about the GE 44-tonner.
Yes. They're really excited about the project. We're really excited about the project. GE 44 tonners hasn't been made since Bachmann had made them.
Yeah.
And not to the level of detail that Rapido's known for.
I know. I mean, I think they're going to sell a bazillion of these.
They're gonna knock this thing out of the park.
I think so, too. It's going to be absolutely. Like, I think I'm going to buy a couple, and I don't need them.
I know, me too.
And mostly because they come undecorated.
Right?
Well, there's our buddy Dave
there's
Owens.
Dave Owens.
Dave.
Causing all sorts of news and trouble.
He's
making faces now.
He's the guy that runs the what do you call it?
NERPM? Excuse you.
Excuse me. Oh, okay. He says he has a NERPM sticker for me. I'm standing here. I don't see him reaching
Maybe I
his
don't want to look.
Oh, then he's going to make a pit stop.
Of course.
So everybody wants to be on the podcast. Now that we're sponsored by Rapido Trains.
The gateway or the fast track to model railroad fun.
No, you're fast track to model railroading fun.
Fast track to
I
model
should make
railroad
a
fun.
decal about that.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
That would be nice.
That'll do. What else can we talk about? How about this? How about we get you back on viewer mail? What's your work schedule like?
With this new job, I'm actually a lot more freer. So yeah.
All right. So
Would love to go
we'll
back.
get you on fans. We'll get you on viewer mail. We'll get you back in the swing of things.
Absolutely.
All right.
I look forward to it, and I miss everybody too.
Well, perfect. That even makes it even better. I'm watching Jason now, so I'm seeing if I can
Sneak it in there.
Yeah, I think I'm
I
going to
think you
sneak.
can commandeer it.
Yeah,
Go
all right.
for it.
Say goodbye, Kaylee.
Goodbye, Kaylee.
Okay, so now I'm here with Jeremy Fleming from Rapido Trains.
How are we today, sir?
Are you okay holding a microphone?
You tell me. How does it sound? How does it look?
Well,
How are my levels?
The levels are good.
Yeah.
Levels are pretty good. Because have you ever done any microphone work?
I've had a fair bit of experience over the last 3 years or so.
Right. I
Yeah.
see you got that show people look going, that theater people look going. With the knitted hat.
Yes, I'm a bit of a showman from time to time.
Right.
It would seem.
You're trying to do that, I'm not a techie guy. I'm a creative guy.
I'm artistic.
Artistic.
Yes, I'm.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. I don't know if you know this. If I'm the first one to tell you. Like, I know you listen to all the podcasts and some of them twice.
Some of them thrice.
Thrice.
Yes.
We are, Rapido Trains is the official exclusive sponsor of A Modeler's Life.
That is correct. We have recently come to your financial aid.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd go that far. But it's working out wonderfully.
I'm glad. The quality is really coming across in the most recent episodes. You can tell. You can see those Rapido. You can hear those Rapido dollars.
You're right. And I don't know if you know this, but Rapido Trains.
Yes.
It's your fast track to model railroading fun.
I've been told this.
Yes.
It's true. I can't deny it.
Yeah, and somehow we came up with that slogan that we've been just beating to death on the podcast.
Yes. But that's what we do on podcasts,
exactly.
such as yours.
The free ones that are sponsored.
Yes.
And we also have a jingle. But
you don't yet.
It's a little rough. No, we actually have a jingle.
You do have it now?
But it's kind of rough.
Right. It needs a little bit of refinement.
A lot of
a lot of massaging.
A lot.
Yes.
Yeah. One of our regulars, Tom Jacobs, the Queso Cowboy.
Yeah.
One day he just burst out in song and came up with 2 verses of the Rapido jingle.
But it's real.
Oh yeah, it's real.
There
all
you
right.
go.
It's
real and raw.
Right. It's real, all right.
Yeah.
Kind of painful. So, but I understood from your employer.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr.
The guy that I just spent 10.5 hours in a car with.
Wow.
Yeah. In a Mini.
Were you driving backwards? 10.5 hours.
Well,
took me 8.
Divided into 2. Overnight, we stayed in Watertown, New York.
Ah.
Yes. Thriving metropolis, I might add.
Yes, exactly.
So 5 hours and then 5 hours-ish.
All right.
So, yeah. But, yeah, good times.
Watertown. How'd you get there? Yeah, that's past Syracuse, I guess, isn't it?
That's going through...
Oh, Gananoque.
There it is.
Why'd you go that way?
Because I wasn't driving. I have no control. I'm told to show up. I show up, and in the car I go.
And where'd you meet him?
At his house.
Okay. All right.
Which is located in the thriving
metropolis
of Ontario.
Yeah. And, you and I both live approximately an hour from the Rapido Trains World Headquarters.
We do, and approximately, 5 minutes from each other?
Yeah, about 5 minutes, exactly. I drive by your house on a semi-regular basis.
Well, throw stuff, man. Make your presence felt.
All right, well, you have to tell me exactly where you are.
You've
and I've asked you several times.
You've literally seen it.
I literally have.
When you find out, you will go, oh, that house. Okay.
Okay, so you're the guy. You're that house just on the Sunnydale Road
Yes.
that has the giant swimming pool and a
Yes.
huge garage, and it's all fenced off.
Yeah, that's
on
the one.
on the south side.
That's the south side. Yeah, that's the one.
That
That's-
one that's several acres.
Yeah, it's a $17 million piece of property. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's
Because,
what I thought.
As you know, in the model train industry, we get the big bucks.
Oh yeah, huge dollars.
Yeah.
However, I think the model train industry is growing, and this is a possibility.
There is no question that it's growing,
Yeah,
especially, as you know, in the last couple of years.
exactly. In the last couple of years, but I don't think that's going to go away.
No, I think there's a bit of leveling that's happening
Yep.
as people get back into the real world again, but it's definitely... We've got a lot more new people in the hobby now, and it's great. It's fantastic.
Right. So, are you working on a jingle?
I have been instructed that is on my to-do list, yes.
Any ideas rolling around in your head?
We have... Jason and I have been working not a lot lately. We've got a lot on our plate,
Right.
but we are definitely conspiring to produce something. I'm taking care of the musical portion of it.
Only because I know Jason so well, and I know you so well, and I know lots of the folks so well.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that I would like to pay to hear this jingle.
Well, it doesn't really exist yet. We have
I know,
several
but I'm dying to hear it.
prototypes in the planning phases that are just...
And I know, I watch your videos.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, oh, so Jeremy's doing a jingle, eh?
I won't be singing the jingle. I
No.
can promise you that.
Okay.
Much to the delight of listeners' ears, I'm sure. I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
I am not a singer.
So how long you been with Rapido?
Actually, it will be on Friday, 3 years exactly.
All right, and you started out as a stock boy or something.
I applied as the warehouse manager,
Right.
and then I was not replaced by, but somebody else was offered the job who was much more qualified than I was. So then I was hired on as a warranty tech, and then I sort of accidentally fell backwards into video production.
Right, and that's been going, what, about 2 years now?
You know what? Since pretty much like a month or two into COVID,
Right.
I just started being that guy. So it's almost 3 years, and I've just
Almost 3 years that you've been doing the video
yeah,
thing.
but about 2 3/4 years.
So you were a real screw-up on the first two assignments.
Yeah. Well, you've seen it. It's all out there. I got nothing to hide. But I just...
And he
as
finally
we-
says, give you a camera and says, can you do anything with this?
But I just actually finished my 150th video.
Really?
Wouldn't lie to you.
Wow.
I can't... Where does it go?
Right,
It's
exactly.
just...
So let me ask you this question from the first time we interviewed you. What has changed, what has shocked you about making videos for... Dave's looking at me. What
That
is-
guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
Dave.
he's looking at me.
He's dying to be on. Dave has never met a mic he doesn't like.
No, I've listened to a few dozen podcasts with Dave as the
Hi, everybody.
the star attraction.
Yeah. So what has changed? What is different? What has surprised you about making so many videos?
About making so many videos, what's really surprised me, and just from talking to people since I've been at the show,
Right.
is how much people are legitimately entertained by them. And
Right.
it blows my mind. I just think I'm up there making an arse of myself, and
Right.
people gravitate towards it for whatever reason, and people, for some reason, I'm not as annoying as I think I am to most people.
That's kind of
My wife would beg to differ, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what was your most fun video to make?
I think you asked me this last time, and the answer
Well,
is
okay,
still
then
the
never
same.
mind. Never mind. Then.
But I'll just
no, never
refer-
mind. If I'm boring you.
No, I'm just.
No,
you're not
we'll
boring
move
me.
on. No, we can move on to something else.
This is
Just
called banter. We're doing this for them.
I'm not bantering. I'm deadly serious.
Okay.
You don't like my questions?
I
I'll
love
move
your
on to another
questions.
one.
These are the best podcast questions I've been asked today.
All right. What was your worst one?
So many, I can't pick one.
What was your mediocre one?
Yeah. My most mediocre one, yeah. That's like extra
What was the-
medium.
okay, you've done 150.
Yeah,
What was number 75? Where does 75?
that
what
would
slot?
be the N scale 5820 Procore covered hopper video. That one was 75 or 74, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, give us a quick 2 or 3 minute capsulization of how the process works that you end up doing a video. Like what so all of a sudden you'll get a message from who's your main contact?
Jason is
The guy.
the guy, and I work with Jordan, and whatever relevant project manager is
Right.
is on said product.
Okay, so Jason will say to you,
We need a video on center beam flat cars.
right.
And then I go, let's do a video on center beam flat cars. Then
And
Jordan
who's
and I.
and then and then you'll go, who's the main guy? Oh, so you work with Jordan a lot.
Yeah, we're the PR team.
Okay.
Yeah, along with Dan
Yeah,
Garcia.
you should probably tell Bobby Allard because he thinks he's on that team too.
He's on there too. But in Markham, in Canada, in the home base,
Canada,
it's Jordan, Dan Garcia, and myself,
Right.
as well as Jason, and then Bobby from
right.
from.
So okay, so the center beam flat car.
Yeah.
We need a video. Boom, quick.
Yeah. So I get to work on my spiffy 3D renders and build. This is provided we don't have a sample, which we didn't at the time. We do now. So I make just to show off all the details. I'll do up some renders, and then I will do whatever shtick that I feel is appropriate if I'm going to be the one in the video. If I'm not going to be in the video, then usually it'll be Jordan. He's probably in more than I am.
Okay.
I'm sort of like a mascot, whereas Jordan is the face.
Okay.
So less of me is more probably.
Right. When am I going to get to be in a video? I think even more now I should be in a video. Now that I'm the podcast, you guys sponsored my podcast.
We have a symbiotic relationship, so yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I could just, I could just like wander through one with my sunglasses on, just kind of like.
I encourage this.
Yeah.
And again, my studio is usually my house, and you know where I live.
Exactly.
Allegedly.
It's like it's not. Yeah, you could call me at any time, and
Yeah.
I'm like, boom, I'm there.
That actually could be arranged quite soon for just have you wander in.
Yeah.
Where am I? What is this?
What is this?
Yeah. What are you doing?
How did we end up in the same town?
That would be awesome, actually. How did we end up in the same town?
I don't know.
You were there before I was.
I was there before you.
I will say that my wife did learn to drive at your driving school.
Well, good for her.
And her brother.
Good for her.
Yeah, back in.
Now you're dating me, making me sound old.
Hey.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, I'm going to be the big 5-0 next year, so I'm getting up there as well.
Really? You're going to be 50?
I am.
Have you been to see a doctor?
Many times.
But that was a drum roll there.
I know that.
A rim shot.
Again, every podcast, sometimes twice, occasionally thrice. I know the drill.
Yeah.
I'm playing the game.
All right, so we're playing along here now. So
Yeah.
center beam flat car, you don't have the car, so somehow you make renderings because you have enough computer experience.
Yes, I've sort of thrown myself into that pool recently, is doing the renders. But we get the files from the factory, so I make the renders from those. You can see some of them up on the wall, actually.
Right.
And then I use that to augment the on-screen talent, either in center beam cases myself, and then I did my thing. And
so do you write a script?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What you see is probably take 20.
Okay.
I'm not as quick on the ball as I might appear to be on
No,
on the
I
videos.
understand, but you want to get in information about the
Yeah.
car, so you have to write a script so you remember everything you want to say.
Yeah, and then I remember I'll forget something, and then I'll swear, and then I will go back and do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then, because speaking of video, what people don't realize, the difference between doing an audio podcast twice a week is not necessarily easy.
No.
But doing a video, multiply that by 10.
Yeah, there's a definite process there, and it can get tedious.
Oh my God, yeah.
But
because I can edit an audio podcast while I'm driving around town, while I'm driving down Sunnydale Road.
With your eyes on the road, though, of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, all I got to do is listen to it.
Yeah. So it's
and then okay, I'll hear something where I want to take something out or add something, and I'll just make a note on my phone and continue to listen to it.
Yeah.
Whereas with video, you got to watch it. You got to sit in front of the screen.
Can't do that while driving.
No. Well, you could set your phone on the dash.
Yeah, but I need a pretty high-powered, sophisticated machine for that, so the phone won't
put your phone on the dash?
Well, that too, yeah. But
if you load the video up on your phone and just set it up on your dash, you could drive around town.
My phone would explode. Especially with those renders.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
How, are they a big file?
It's the processing power to generate them. You know what I have to do? Legitimately, I open my window and close the door of my office. I've got the whole machine ripped apart, like it's all open.
Really?
Just to keep it cool.
Really?
When I'm doing the actual final render.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's I'm pushing her limits.
Well, it only took us 13 minutes, but we found something interesting.
Hey, I'm glad I could help.
Let's remind everybody at home, we know each other pretty well, so we're just kidding around.
Yes, we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
There's a mention.
There seems to be some confusion as to when the show closes. The show will close at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
I hope that's PM.
Yeah, AM or PM. Yeah. Could you please clarify? All right. And then you paste it all together, and boom, you got a video.
Boom, I got a video. It has to go through Jason's final approval. He is the executive producer, and he gives it the yay or needs improvement, and then up to YouTube it goes.
Let me ask you this question. On your YouTube channel, which video that you've done has had the most number of views?
That I've done. It might possibly be one with Janet in it.
Okay.
That I wasn't actually in myself, but I just edited. But I think it was one of our first F59PH Go Transit videos from like
that one.
Maybe 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
At the Scarborough Model Railway Club.
I think I annoyed Janet today because I didn't interview her.
You didn't interview her? You did?
Didn't.
Oh, well, go interview her.
Well, I don't see her now.
She's right over there.
Oh, yeah, there she is.
Yeah.
Well, she's talking to Michelle. Well, the last time I interviewed her, like 2 or 3 years ago at the shop, she was like, oh, you don't want to talk to me. You don't want to talk to me. And then I took her into the boardroom, and I talked to her for like 5 minutes, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, she's quite in demand by many of our viewers and your listeners, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I think we've killed enough time. We've 15 minutes. Look at that, 15 minutes and 30 seconds. Say goodbye, Jeremy.
Goodbye, Jeremy.
Okay, so now I'm standing here with Bill Schneider, who is one of Chris Adams' best friends.
There's some notoriety.
And you got to hold the mic up here when
like
we're
this?
talking. So here's something I noticed. It's later on Sunday afternoon at the big Springfield train show.
Yep.
And a lot of the show is quiet. And I walked up to the Rapido booth, and it's wildly busy.
We have been nonstop since an hour or so before the show opened yesterday. We had people here at 8 o'clock, and it's been great. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, like I just can't get over how many people were here. I literally thought I waited and waited, thought, okay, I'll wait till it's quieted down so I can interview 2 or 3 people from Rapido.
Yep.
And I walk up to the booth, and it's packed. It's literally packed.
Well, we brought more people down this year than we've ever had before because we're going to have a kind of a 2-day powwow afterwards with product ideas.
Oh,
and so
really?
forth.
Okay.
And so we had this great idea that with all these extra people, we could take shifts and people could wander away and so forth. And that has not happened. We haven't been able to get out of the booth more than hitting the bathrooms. That's about it.
I know. And when you're having a big 2-day Rapido head powwow with all the big shots at Rapido.
Well, yeah, because the company's based in Toronto, our product staff are all over the country here in the U.S., so it's unusual that we can get everybody together in one room at the same time. So we try to take maximum advantage of it when we can.
Okay, so I've actually asked Jordan this. I've asked Kaylee Zheng this. I've asked Josh Anderchuk this.
Do I have to give the same answer?
No.
Okay.
I think I asked Dan Garcia this, and probably somebody else. So during these 2 days of meetings, when you guys are discussing stuff, and you get to a point, I want to talk to you in a minute. We get to a point. You get to a point where the room is kind of stuck on something, trying to make a decision.
Yep.
Do you think you could kind of put your finger on your chin and quizzically go, I wonder what Lionel would think about this?
We'll call you.
What's that?
We'll call you.
Yeah. Could you do that?
No.
See, now some of the others thought that they could fit that in.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, okay, there you go. It's just, you don't have to actually do anything that I say. Just act like you've, considering what I might have to input might be worthwhile.
Well, the funny part is, being at this show with this many people, you get all sorts of people coming up to you with product ideas or suggestions.
Right, yeah.
And no matter, we just announced the 44 tonner, we came out with all these road names that we're doing on the first, and we were inundated in the first day with people asking for Arcade and Attica. Now, it's a cute little short line, but I never would have thought they'd have this following. So, you pick up all sorts of ideas from these places that you would never thought of. So,
okay. Well, if you didn't,
we'll call you.
Yeah. If you didn't know, you may not be aware of this, but the Modeler's Life podcast, which is worldwide.
I've heard of that. Yes,
yeah,
I've heard of
the
that.
sun never sets on the Modeler's Life. if you didn't know, we're sponsored exclusively by Rapido Trains.
Yes.
It's your fast track to model railroading fun.
I think I've heard that.
So where do you fit in this? Every time I've interviewed Jason, he tells me you're one of the first guys into this thing.
Yeah, Jason started it, and then Dan came on board, and I think you guys had a chat with him just recently.
Right.
And I came on shortly after that in 2009.
Okay.
And I've been since, primarily in product design. That's my main area is focusing on product research and design.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you've been there like 14 years.
Yeah.
14 years as a full-time gig.
Oh, wow. Yes. Yeah.
But 14 years is a full-time gig.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Very, very full-time. I don't think I've ever been as busy. It's been great.
Yeah. And I've never asked. This is my favorite question. Because me personally, I think the hobby's growing like crazy. Where do you stand? After the 14 years of being in this business, where do you stand? What do you see? Where's the future?
I'm going to date myself even more by saying I got in 1983, I think was my first job in the industry, so I'm feeling ancient at the moment. But the hobby, there's no truth, I think, to the hobby is dying. The hobby is certainly changing.
Right.
I think you're seeing a lot of people with the advance in electronics and the advance in control systems and the quality of ready-to-run stuff. I think you're seeing a lot more people that are interested in operations and that type of thing than perhaps before. But no, it's very dynamic, and I think it's still growing.
Yeah.
As a company, I think we're going from record to record. So
yeah, exactly. And with this 44-tonner, you're going to sell a bazillion of these things, are you not?
It's been nuts. I mean, people have been so excited over it. It's great.
And when do you expect delivery of this?
Well, what I'm showing here today is just first samples. They literally just came in a few days ago. So we've got to get out of show mode and actually get into checking the samples, and then we'll see. But I would hope they'd be on the market within a year.
Really?
Yeah, I think we're that close.
And it's going to be hard to decide how many to order of each paint scheme, isn't it?
I need one of each. Yeah.
That must be a very mind-numbing experience trying to decide how many to order of a certain thing or how many to produce of a certain thing.
We, as you know, we go a lot by pre-orders. We do a reservation system, and that gives us kind of a baseline to start from. Without that, yes, it would be a dartboard, and you'd get stuck with some and not have enough of others. So that works well for us. The big challenge is on projects like a lot of what we're doing now is with so many possible road names, which ones do you pick for the first run and the second run and the third run? And regardless of which ones you pick, somebody's always going to come up to you and say, I wish you'd done this one.
Yeah. And how many road names do you think you would do of the 44-tonner for the first run?
Let's see. What have we got over here? I got to look at my list. I think it's 16 different paint schemes plus undecorated.
Wow.
So
and you're doing undecorated?
Yes, undecorated of 3 different phases. So there's actually 3 different undecorated.
So how come your guys are doing undecorated? Because that seems to have gone by the wayside. What was the discussion?
Well, with something like the 44-tonner, there's a couple things. First of all, there aren't a lot of parts variations, so there's actually would only be 3 on deck which cover everything.
Okay.
And the second thing is there are so many short lines and specialty railroads that own these things that probably would not be practical to do in a mass-produced model.
Okay.
But if decals and so forth were available, people could buy it on deck, and if anybody remembers how to paint and decal things, they could do that.
So do you think, what happened to... So you say you were when was your first job in the industry?
First as a clerk and then as a manager in a retail store.
Okay.
And then I went into wholesale and then went into manufacturing and then to Rapido. So.
All right. So, you've been in the industry since how old?
Right out of college.
You look like you're about 85 now.
Thanks. Yeah. That's been 14 years at Rapido. Oh, I mean, no, that's...
I'm kidding.
By the way, I can send a resume too? Yeah.
You're a fine-looking young man.
Your eyes okay?
Yeah. Not really.
No.
So what has happened to undecorated? Like I started in the hobby as a kid, but by the time I was adult, late 70s, early 80s, and was seriously building a home layout, that's what I wanted was undecorated stuff because I was doing, proto freelance. I wanted undecked stuff, and it was no problem to get undecorated stuff. Now it's impossible.
Well, I think it's a combination of things. First of all, I think fewer people are painting and decorating their own, and I think that may be a fault of having more and more options available for factory decorated models, honestly.
Right.
From our point of view, we do a lot of prototype specific body styles, which means that when it comes time to do undecorateds, there is not just one undecorated. For example, if we were to do undecorated E8s, there would still be 6 different part numbers because we have 6 different bodies on the E8s because of the different nose MU configurations and headlights and so forth and so on. So it's not just one more undecorated unit, it's multiples. And where we've done undecks in the past, they haven't been huge sellers.
No.
What we do, though, is if people really want an undecorated of a model, the factory has agreed to do them in batches of 6.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to custom order a run of undecks and you can get a bunch of buddies together, get 6, we'll make them.
That's a couple of times. I think I've interviewed Jason 3 or 4 times, and it was like the second or third. I think it was the second time. I said, "So is it impossible to get on decks?" He said, "No. If you buy 6 at a time, you can have them." I said, "Oh, can I do that?" He went, "No."
Oh well, don't listen to him.
Yeah. He wasn't thrilled with the whole idea. But I'm fascinated that undecks just went away, and it's really the industry dictated that.
Yeah. And again, I think that the fact that you can get so many options in ready-to-run paint schemes, and I do think there is more of a movement toward the running an operation than there is in terms of the hardcore kit building that, I personally, one of my favorite things is building resin kits, but I don't know too many other people that do that.
Yeah.
So, it's... I think the hobby is changing, but it's certainly not dead.
So let's change gears now. Let's talk about this whole Chris Adams, Bill Schneider thing.
Sure.
Because Chris Adams is a good friend of mine, but I know you're a good friend of Chris's.
Yep.
And Chris often talks about the speed with which you build things, lightning speed. And you're building a layout now that Chris came over and cut his finger on.
Yes, we've only had one injury on the entire construction, and Chris was it. What are friends for?
Yeah. So you sanded that part down and got rid of the blood.
Yeah, it took a while. Yeah.
What are you building?
So I'm building I modeled the New York, Ontario, and Western. This is my second O&W layout. I'm building it's a double deck in a room about 18 by 30.
Okay.
And modeling an area between Walton, New York, and Sydney, New York, and having a lot of fun with it.
So it's a fairly ambitious project.
Yeah. Chris gives me a hard time. I do tend to work fast, but part of that is because I've got 8 or 10 projects going at once.
Yeah.
And I try to get a little bit of time each night. So if I go downstairs for 15 minutes and I don't feel like wiring, I can put a decal on something, or I can put windows in a building, or I can plant some grass or something, but at least it's forward progress in some direction or other.
So you're obviously not one of these people where your day job is model railroading and it doesn't really slow down your progress on your layout at night of model railroading.
It doesn't most of the time. Like any job, there are days.
Sure,
last thing I want to do is look at another train. But most times, mentally, they're kept separate. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what is? How far? When did you start the layout?
Just over 2.5 years ago.
Really?
Yep.
You got trains running yet, or?
Oh yeah, it's fully operational, and the upper deck.
Fully operational.
Upper deck is fully scenic, which is what drives Chris nuts.
Well, yeah, because Chris will sweats over a 1 inch by 1 inch area.
So, and I have to say this: Chris and I are really good friends. We have a lot in common in terms of our approach and what we talk about telling a story, and we're both history nuts and trying to reproduce areas and so forth. But Chris initially started out very analytical, and he would spend hours and hours studying something. It's like scenery. It's what kind of proportions do I mix to get the grass colors right? And what's the proportion? You just throw it down. So he helped me with bench work, which is one of his strong suits and not mine, and I helped him with some scenery. And he was always complaining that I made a mess every time I came over for scenery because there's grass everywhere and all this, and he had to clean up for weeks. Well, now that he's working on his layout, he keeps sending me pictures of his basement looking trashed with grass. And I'm so proud of him. He's doing a great job now.
He's improved dramatically. All right. So 44 tonners.
Yep.
What project are you working on right now? Any that you can tell us about?
None that I can tell you about.
All right.
So the 44 tonner is my most recent, but I've got 3 or 4 other things getting close and in the mix right now.
Well, let me ask you this question. Why can't you tell me? Because Modeler's Life, I don't know if you know this, but Rapido
I know nobody listens to this, right?
Yeah, nobody listens to it.
So it'll never get out.
And yes, I couldn't believe Jason wanted to advertise. I don't know if you know this, but Rapido Trains is the exclusive sponsor of Modeler's Life podcast.
It is. Absolutely.
Rapido Trains. It's your fast track to model railroading fun.
Thank you. But since I work for Rapido Trains, and if I told you on the podcast something we're trying to keep secret, I would no longer be working for Rapido Trains, and I'd be coming to you looking for a job.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Say goodbye, Bill.
Goodbye, Bill.
Okay, so now here I am with Jason Schron, who is the owner of Rapido Trains.
Co-owner with my wife.
Co-owner with your wife, that's correct, exactly. And but you're the chief executive officer, aren't you?
Yeah, she's executive vice president.
Okay, yeah. That's you know what? Same with my business. My wife's the vice president, I'm the president, and I get to do anything I want so long as she approves it.
Yeah, she has final say over this. She had final say of my being here today, actually.
Oh, really? Yes. So, hey, I wanted to tell you this. Two things I want to tell you. So I decided that I would interview as many people as I could at Rapido, and I decided I'd wait till Sunday afternoon when it was quiet.
Right.
So I start walking through the buildings about 3:30, and everything's quiet. Get to the Mallory building, it's quiet. Get to the Rapido booth, can't get near it. Like, people are going nuts.
We have a lot of models on display.
Well, I don't. Yeah, but everybody says that. I've interviewed 4 or 5 people. Bobby and Jeremy and Bill, and I've interviewed a bunch of you, and you all say, "Oh, it's because we have models on display." It's not that at all. It's because it's Rapido.
It's fun.
You're going to sell like a bazillion of these 44-tonners.
I was actually surprised at how the response has been. I mean, it's been crazy. People going nuts for it.
They're going nuts for them. Like I said, I got here Thursday, sent you a text about 2 hours later. 3 people had come up to me and saying, "Have you seen the 44-tonners from Rapido?" And I'm like, "No."
The guys were trying to set up yesterday, or Friday, I should say, and they all the other exhibitors were they'd take them out of the box. The guys would be picking it up and say, no, we have to put it on display. It took 12 hours to set up the booth. But I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? It's a good problem to have.
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Rapido Trains now is the sole exclusive sponsor of the Modeler's Life podcast.
I am aware, and it's our pleasure.
Yes, and Rapido Trains is your fast track to model railroading fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That was the first slogan we came up with. Yeah, it's a little rough.
I've got some jingles I'm working on for you.
Yeah, and we got a jingle too. We have a little jingle. It's a little rough.
It's very hard to fit Rapido Trains sort of in the same kind of syllables and phrasing as WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Working on that.
Yeah.
Had to squeeze Rapido Trains into WKRP in Cincinnati.
Red Wigglers.
We're happy little worms. We love we catch the big ones every time because we're hooked on you. Red Wigglers, we can laugh the worms. We can laugh.
Remember, Red Wigglers, the Cadillac of worms.
Or the one about the funeral home.
Oh, yes.
Hey, we're young and swinging.
Hey, you're young and swinging. No time to think about tomorrow. But there ain't no way to deny it. Someday you're gonna buy it.
Six convenient locations, plus for good rates and free parking. It's all yours at Ferryman Funeral Home.
So how now are you ever going to decide how many 44-tonners to order?
So we're going, from our perspective, we're going to actually cut down our inventory that we make. So we're going to try and do more towards pre-orders. When we first started out, we had to go to pre-orders only because we didn't know,
right,
what we were doing at that point.
Right.
And then over the last few years, we started making a little extra stock. And now I've decided that I think we're going to go back to making very little extra stock because we have so many models coming out now.
Right.
The stock starts building up.
Right.
If we make an extra few here, extra few there. But it was fine when you're releasing 6 models a year. When you're releasing 25 models a year, it ends up being too much. We just haven't got a big enough warehouse.
Right.
So we're actually going to start making very little in the way of extra inventory.
Okay.
So it means that pre-ordering is like really needed.
Is the thing.
Yeah. I mean, you and I we should probably have one of our longer conversations about the idea of pre-ordering because
we'll do that.
I think people have gotten used to, the stock's going to be there, it's going to be there, I'll just go wait till I see it, etc. But it's gotten to the point where it's a challenge to store the extra stuff.
Well,
so.
yeah, exactly. Especially because, like you say, you're making so much stuff.
Yeah,
now.
it's not a question of we weren't making like tons of one model, but we were making a little extra of everything, and all the little extras are adding up, and we're running out of space in our warehouse.
Yeah, like as always, with all questions we've ever had, every interview we've ever done, only answer what you want to. But what is the major? I mean, it seems like a huge jump going from 6 models a year to 25.
Yeah, it didn't happen overnight.
Right, it didn't happen overnight, but now that you're doing 25 models a year, are you kind of going, well, I didn't see this coming?
Oh, Mohan, who's my COO, he's here at the show with us. Mohan said, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, he gave me a number and said, this is what you're going to do in 2012 or 2022. And I said, no way. And he was bang on.
Really?
So we grew from 2020 to 2022, we grew by like 68%.
Wow.
And he projected that. He looked at all of the stuff that we had in development. He looked at what our orders numbers are looking. He said, this is the number you're going to, obviously I can't say the number because
right,
that's
obviously.
secret information. He said, this is the number you're going to do in 2022, and he was right. And I, at the time, which was like 2019, 2020, I said, there's no way.
Right, yeah.
There's no way. There's no way we can grow like that. But like the key about growth is we've brought on more people to be able to handle it. The only area that we've had trouble with is the customer service, because as you grow, more people are contacting you, and it's anyone listening to who's in an employer knows how hard it is to get people right now. So model train people, like product designers, we've been able to expand, but customer service people has been very difficult. It took us several months to actually hire people to staff the phones and answer the emails and stuff like that. That's been a big challenge for us.
Now I got a really interesting comment. And you're not even going to see it coming from left field. This one's going to hit you in the head, and you're like, well, where did that come from?
Okay.
So as soon as I announced, we took a couple of months to try to get used to it, because I'm anal about making sure you get your money's worth for the advertising. Like,
I appreciate that.
Because I'm like, I'm not sure I can do this. But anyways, it's working out really well. A lot of fun, actually. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But, of course, like everything in model railroading, I had 4 or 5 people that left the podcast, sent me nasty messages.
Why? It's not changing the content. We don't review your content.
I know, exactly.
You can say whatever you want.
I actually said to one guy, he didn't buy the podcast. He's sponsoring it. So, right in behind us here, Shane Wilson from Scale Trains has come over for a visit. And I interviewed him yesterday. And this is our ideal time for you and I on the air for you to say, or for me to say to you, you don't care who I talk to.
I don't care who you talk to.
You don't want the podcast to change it? Yeah, you don't want the podcast to change at all.
We sponsored your podcast because we love it.
Exactly.
And because everyone loves it.
Yeah.
So why on earth would we want you to change the podcast?
Exactly. But I'm glad we did that on the air so everybody's heard it from your voice.
And I, we have no editorial influence over the podcast at all.
No, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I actually consider it. I mean, I was actually thrilled when we decided to do that, because I feel like
that was on a whim. You were visiting. It was on a whim.
It was on a whim. I told a couple of people the story. We went
out for lunch.
We went out for lunch.
Yeah, that was good lunch.
And the next time we go out for lunch, I want you to take me to the Jewish place.
Yeah, the kosher restaurant.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I absolutely want to go.
Chicken Nest in Midtown Toronto. It's a very good restaurant.
I absolutely want to go there. All right, I'm going to let you go because you got lots of people to talk to. So say goodbye, Jason.
Okay, goodbye, Jason.
Okay, this is it. This is our last interview. No, there's no button.
It's live?
It's live, man.
I'm live right now?
You are live. You are live and on the air. So this is the last interview from the 2023 Amherst Railway Society Model Railroad Show.
Close enough.
Amherst Model Railroad Show.
Close enough.
I'm
happy with that description.
I got the first 3 words right.
You want the real name?
Yeah.
Amherst Railway Society's Railroad Hobby Show.
That's so close.
Enough. That was good.
I was close. So I think everything I need to know is right there on that giant bottle of red Tylenol.
But I must say, I didn't have one of those.
No?
Yeah, that's for the staff.
Okay.
Because I give them all headaches.
Yeah. So yesterday was crazy.
Just over 12,000 yesterday.
Yeah, and
if we count the number of people in the show, the 3,500 that we've given badges to, so you're talking about 15,500 for total population. But the gate was 12,000.
Right. And then today, it looked pretty good today, too.
It looked good, but we'll know from our money counting folks probably about an hour after the show closes.
All right. And I saw somebody asking you if you're all right. Did you have a health thing or something?
Yes. I have a bum left leg, but
okay,
nothing serious.
All right. So how did the weekend go for you?
It went really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, my most crazy day is Friday, when people show up and go, I don't like where I am, and then I say, well, it's been published since December 2nd. So what?
What about that guy that comes every year on Friday and says, I'm supposed to have a staff parking spot?
Oh, I'm so that guy's dead to me. Oh, wait, is that you?
Yeah. So was there any oddities this year?
Oddities? Nah. It was actually very typical. It builds. When we get here Wednesday morning, we survey and chalk and then set up tables on Thursday, and the layouts come in. And then when everybody shows up on Friday, it's bedlam and insane. But nothing out of the ordinary, seriously. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, it seemed like complete opposite of last year.
Well, yeah, no snow.
No snow.
And a gazillion people, 3 times as many people as last year.
Yeah, and what's the highest you've ever had on a Saturday? Because that sounds like
13,097
paid. Plus
paid, yeah, that's the gate, not counting the 3,500.
Right, so you're very, very close to your all-time high.
Yes, we were only about 1,000 off the mark, so I am so delighted. I just have one thing to say. We are back.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget, we talk about this every year, this is a not-for-profit event where you try to donate as much of this money as you can to either railroads that need some sort of railroad charity, or charities for the hospital or whatever.
Everything. We do tend to try to give it all away.
Wow. That must be just unbelievably rewarding.
When we have our presentation for the grants, it is a blast.
Yeah.
And honestly, when we give away the Founders Grant, which is a $10,000 singular grant, and the people just are floored, I really, off the record, I shouldn't talk like a little baby, but I get all choked up in tears in my eyes. I do.
Not? Because you've gone to so much work and effort. I mean, the amount of work that you put into this thing is, I can't even imagine it, to be honest.
I started last week on Monday.
Yeah,
it was fine.
Oh man, I was so thrilled to have that spot where we had our Modeler's Life.
That was just a wonderful, multiple reason for having that spot.
Yeah.
Tribute to Jim Sacco. At City Classics, Iowa Scaled Engineering.
We gave away that,
and that other company, AML, whatever the heck they were doing over
that
there.
podcast. That guy.
Yeah.
So now I got a question for you, and I'm pretty sure I know what your answer is, but I made this sign as a tribute to Jim Sacco.
I saw that.
And I think I'd like to put that up every year.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Jim should not be forgotten. He's come to this show over 30 consecutive years.
Yeah.
So I am absolutely fine with that.
So basically, I want to continue some sort of recognition for Jim for the 30.
That could be the Jim Sacco Memorial Wall.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
Yeah, he was such a lovely man.
Oh God, yeah. He would call or email me once a month.
I know,
without fail.
Well, and it's like I said to you on the last interview we did, and I'll leave you alone after this because there's all kinds of things you got to do at this point. But you got to realize what you're doing. What you're doing for the population. You're pushing the rock forward. And
I appreciate you saying, and I'm glad because I'm happy to, because we need to keep this hobby going.
Yeah, and it's not just about the hobby; it's about the work you're doing. And when you see how many people are out there and how much fun they're having, it's got to be. You got to think to yourself, man, this is just unbelievable.
Well, I think back to one of the phrases, one of the key lines that one of the magazines has: "Model railroading is fun." It is.
Yeah.
It really. What's yours though, Lionel? You have a good one too.
Oh, model railroading. It's younger than you think.
Yes, I love that one too.
Yeah. Maybe I should put that up beside my Jim Sacco sign next year.
You know what? It's something, because when you see all the youngsters and young folks in their 20s and 30s that were here over the weekend, it's absolutely true.
Yeah,
it's younger than you think.
Absolutely, I believe with all my heart that this hobby is just growing like crazy.
Cool, I agree.
All right. Say goodbye, John.
Goodbye, John.
So, Bruce?
So, Lionel.
You're here for the wrap up of the Springfield Part 4 show.
Okay.
Because I did the intro and it was actually passable.
Yes.
It was actually passable.
Uh-huh.
But I did the outro, like the wrap up part of the podcast, like 3 times.
Yeah.
And it never got any better.
Oh, so you figured you better call in some professional help.
Yeah, I'm calling in some professional help. And then I had a rather morbid thought while I was doing this. While I was trying to do the wrap up by myself, I had a rather morbid thought. And I hope this doesn't throw you off and ruin your day.
Yeah.
But it is Talladega, so there's that to look.
That is true. Then that's that. Oh. I'm recording the IndyCar race. I'm not recording the Talladega race.
Oh well, nowadays you can just.
Did you watch the race yesterday?
No, I didn't. Was it a wreck fest?
It was a wreck fest. Unbelievable. There was a couple guys, and one guy barrel rolled about 7 times. One guy ended up on his roof. They had like 10 cautions in the last 50 laps, I think.
Oh, wow. We did record the ARCA race yesterday because the granddaughter of a friend of ours is in that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But she went out in like the lap 10 in a wreck at the back. If she could just do something.
She could keep out of the wreck, she'd be okay, right?
And at Daytona, she missed a gear and fried the transmission, but she managed to keep the car going for the whole race and finish like 18th. And then for this race, they couldn't do qualifying. So because she only is doing, her name is Logan Miscara, Miscara, I think it is. Miscara, yeah. Her first name is Logan. And anyways, so this race, she started at the back. And 10 laps in, on a restart, some guy misses a shift and piles into the back of some guy and sends 4 or 5 cars sliding, and she just couldn't miss it. So, anyways, that's so. Here's what I tried doing the wrap up by myself. It was a disaster.
Yes.
So then I'm doing it, and I finally.
So you red flagged the event.
Well, no, I had one that I was going to go with because I wanted to get the show done. And then you said you were available, so I thought let's do the wrap up. And then I had this morbid thought: what would happen? And what happens if you kick the can before I do?
I don't know. You'll have to find somebody else.
or I was thinking I could use like AI technology.
Oh, there you go.
Artificial intelligence.
AI Mailboy.
Yeah,
the AI Mailboy. There you go.
Yeah, I'll put in enough information.
Probably more intelligent than the real one.
Yeah. And then I thought, I saw a Ford commercial today. I got the general idea of what it was, but it was a Ford commercial, and this woman with her son is driving down the freeway, and she hits a button on the steering wheel. And now the car is hands-free. This is a Mustang, an electric Mustang. And she says, I've wanted to have a discussion with you. Finally, we can have a discussion without interruption. And she's using, and she starts using sign language. So I get the point. The point was the child was deaf. She wanted to talk to the kid. But do you really think that on the freeway, at speeds of 60, 70 plus miles an hour, it's really the ideal time to take your hands off the wheel and start doing sign language?
I'm thinking no, because I know these things are out there and they say they work, but no, if I'm whipping along at that kind of speed, and as we know, some may go slightly in excess of the posted speeds, but always observing the speed limit. I want to be in control. I don't want to, something there to making up its decisions. It's bad enough now they got these stupid things with the radar on them that will slow you down.
Yeah, oh my God, I hate that.
Cruise control, so that'll just drive you nuts, or flash a warning when the guy up in front, a quarter mile away, has his brake lights on. But no, I want to be in control. I would never trust a self-driving vehicle.
Well, and isn't it just a representation of what society has become? Is it really that difficult to steer a car, considering we've been doing it for the last 100 years? Is it really?
You've seen drivers out there. You know the answer to that.
Is it really that much of an inconvenience to steer your car?
Well, to show you what it is, we were heading down to the gallery this morning, and on the edge of the highway, there's this car off. He'd gone off. I don't know what. No, he'd gone off, gone over the curb, and was sitting there, half on the shoulder, half over the curb at the side of the highway. So, like, how did he do that? Just not paying attention, and whoops, and there you go. You got one wheel over the curb, and you can't get back. And thankfully, there's no traffic back by the time we went by it. But yeah. Some people have difficulty with the concept of driving.
I know, but do we really?
Which is good for you because you're in the business of teaching.
Sure. But I mean, still, do we really need? Have people become that lazy that they can't just keep the hand on the steering wheel to prevent death and destruction throughout the nation?
Keep your eyes on the road, your hands upon the wheel.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, this is Springfield Part 4. It's the final part of the 2023 interviews. I think there was like 30 people we interviewed all together. And on this particular,
you were busier in a one-arm paper hanger.
I know, exactly. Your budgies.
My house sparrows are chirping, so I just let them out.
So this was the show where I ended up going over to Rapido on like 4:00 on Sunday afternoon. Like while I was there, John Sacerdote made a announcement that he couldn't close. Vendors shouldn't leave before 5. Like the show was dead.
Yeah.
And then I went over to Rapido thinking, okay, I'll interview some of them. That was my plan all weekend, is I'd wait till it quieted down and I'd go over to Rapido and see who was there. Well, I get there, and there's this mass of people over there in front of the Rapido booth, and then I got to see the 44 tonners for the first time.
You think they'll sell many of those?
I don't think so. I really don't.
Yeah, no point ordering any for pre-ordering because there'll be plenty left when they can get the boat over.
Yeah, exactly.
What a sweet looking unit that is. I watched that for a bit while we were there. I actually got close enough to see it running, and man, what a sweet looking unit those are.
I know. And they come undecorated, they come just painted and not lettered, they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes.
No sound, but there's Jason and his boys are going to sell a ton of those.
We're very pleased to be associated with Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
That the jingles are starting to grow on me.
All right, they're pretty cool. I like the jingles.
I know. Let's play the second one.
And we kind of thank Tom, our buddy Tom, the Queso Cowboy, for coming up with that idea.
Well, yeah, but you came up with our fast track to model railroading fun. That jingle is yours. And then the other jingle is N scale Rapido Trains N scale HO. And the thing I love about that one is done by somebody with a Latino accent, I think.
If it's N, if it's HO, the fast track is Rapido.
And when I mentioned this before, it reminds me of our old friend Boston Joe doing his Casa de Sol Rumba Room commercials.
Anyways. All right, we've already see how much better it goes when I have somebody with me. I am absolutely useless at doing, like, I could never take Lester Holt's job at NBC and do the national news. Because I'm just no good, unless of course maybe if I wrote a script or something. But then that wouldn't be us.
But then again, the question is this real or is this AI?
Yeah, that's true. Can you give out our email address?
Yes, our email address. Let us know what you thought, because we had a blast at Springfield, meeting all sorts of people and having a great time interacting. So send us an email. Let us know what you thought about the Springfield shows. Modlerslife@gmail.com. That's Modlers with one L. Modlerslife@gmail.com.
And we have a website. Oh, and if you missed the address, if you just scroll down a little bit and click on the picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state, all you gotta do is click on that picture and the email address is filled out. And then
where would they find that picture?
On our website, modlerslife.com.
There we go.
And if you want a t-shirt, have you ever wanted a t-shirt with a hot dog on it?
I think I'm going to have to order one of those t-shirts with a hot dog on it, just because there's such an interesting looking t-shirt. Although you keep talking about bananas, I'm waiting for the email banana shirt.
I'm not sure what that's all about. anyways, if you go to Midwest Model Railroad, and our buddy Uncle Dave was just there. He was like, it was his first
I saw
time.
that he was there out there for whatever reason and ran into one of the other AML folk out there.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that. I haven't been looking at Facebook, so I guess I need to look at his page.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was. Oh, I'll ask you in a minute. So yeah, if you go to Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and go across the menu bar to Other.
Yes,
and click on Other, and then you'll see AML Shop, and you click on that, and boom, you're in a wonderland of hats, T-shirts, mugs, hoodies,
mugs,
whatever you could possibly need. And the only other piece of business we got to tell you is that this is on the free channel, and which is why it's sponsored by Rapido Trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
These jingles are just, and
these jingles may have to be put on an extended mix CD.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we might have to remaster.
We can remaster and put them out as a combo set with the elevator music.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. We could remaster.
We could remaster. Here it is. We put the jingles out. We remastered the elevator music, and we throw in Boston Joe's commercials he's did for us.
Yeah, it'd be like an album.
AML Collector's Edition.
Hey, like an album. Or is it? Oh yeah. So, anyways, if you like all this stuff on the free channel every Monday, if you go to Patreon, if you click on our website, there's a thing there that says Patreon, and if you click on that, for just a few cents a day, literally less than 20 cents a day, you can have twice as much podcasting each week. And over there,
and who in their right mind wouldn't want that?
That's right, and it feels more like it's much more homey on the Patreon channel. You get to know people. Much better. It's much more intimate. It's more intimate.
It's more intimate. It's the friendly confines of the Patreon channel.
Yeah, you've decided to support the channel, and you come over to the Patreon side, and you're welcomed in, and you'll find it's just much more homey, much more.
And don't forget, we have the Friday afternoon, evening Patreon Zoomy for the Patreon members,
and it's on Wednesday too.
Oh, did I say Friday?
Yeah.
It's not Friday. It's actually Wednesday. So
really, I think
at least one of us knew the right day.
I think in 10 years, in 10 years, people are going to be wishing both of us kicked the bucket because we're going to be old and goofy.
Maybe we can do it together like Thelma and Louise and go off a cliff.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. We got to just find some kind of dramatic vehicle to go off in. You know what?
We can borrow Tony Cook's Cadillac or
or you know what, I found on TikTok these clowns that have a whole bunch of junker cars, and they somehow they set it up and they jam a stick in there and put it in gear and send it down this hill, these cars down this hill and over a jump just to watch them wreck.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, join our Patreon channel because you'll have a ball being a Patreon member, and we will very much appreciate it. We appreciate all our Patreon members, and we're going to stop now because it's way better when it's the two of us rather than just me. This is like way better than anything I tried to do. All right,
it's more gooder.
It's more gooder. So remember, A Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10.
Guys who know what day of the week it is.
And the lights all went down in Massachusetts the day I left her standing on the road, trying to hitch a ride to San Francisco. Got to do the things I got to do, and the lights all went down in Massachusetts.
It's another Lincoln Homer.